Real quick, too, I did want to touch about this. Ben Johnson, the favorite for the Carolina Panthers job. Word around the street is their owner, David Tepper, really, really likes him. And D-Mac, I'm getting very concerned.
Well,
here,
you're
man.
concerned because David Tepper, who likes things and puts the money out and buys things that he wants to get and fires guys that he wants after 1 year, does whatever. What, Sam, did we figure out? Was there a Vegas odds for Ben Johnson being a Carolina coach?
I see plus 500, which would make him the favorite.
Wow. Hey, take a spin. I mean, $10, win 50 if he leaves.
And that way, if you lose,
you win. It's the old head heart bet.
The
head heart. You lose with your heart, but you win with your head.
Get compensated for something bad happening to you.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe a little dinner for you and the wife. Then if not, you donated for him to stay.
A compensated
20 will get you 100.
A compensated roll.
There you go.
Not a free
roll. We're all
roll.
part of it. No, not a free roll.
A compensated roll.
I learned something the other day because in the bay it was a compensated roll, and I think it had to do a stick in the Jacksonville game and taking them when they were down
15-1 on the live line, and then as it flipped around, I advised him to turn that around to take the Chargers when they were like minus 400 or whatever, but balance it so you won either way. A big payoff if Jacksonville wins. No, a little bit of scratch if San Diego wins.
Worth the
effort.
effort.
Make a little something for your time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And D-Mac called that a, quote, free roll. And I said, no, D-Mac. It's a compensated roll because you're still paid for your time.
That's
and
it.
You said, why is everything you say, what was the terminology you used?
Why everything that comes out of your mouth is related to draft capital or salary cap? Because that's how I roll.
I don't think it's that big of a deal breaker for the Lions if Ben Johnson gets a job. I look at this season when they had the number one offense in the National Football League and putting up 40 points a game, they were 1-6. When that defense finally became competent, that's when they started winning games. So yeah, they were losing shootouts, but when that defense is good, that's when the Lions are good. The offense was a little bit lesser than it was early in the season, but they started winning games.
Yeah, that is true. It's just something that obviously we're taking a big-time interest in. And real cream of wheat, and this is a great stat, I saw this on Twitter, Ben Johnson will be the second Lions coach ever to get a head coaching job somewhere else. Ha, ha, ha. Like, think about that. Because this is a place where coaches go to die.
Are you talking in history?
Yeah, like when you come here to die.
I want to know who's the first.
Now they've had assistants that have left to go be assistants other places, like Don Shula and Bill Belichick and all those guys. But he would be the first one.
Don Shula.
He would be the first one as a coordinator to leave and take a head coaching job. Think about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is what Lion fans are not used to. They're not used to other teams coming after their coaches because there's nobody you want.
Well, Neil explained why, because it never happens.
I said this.
But that's what happens to good teams, right, T?
Right. You don't have a Wayne Fontes coaching tree. You don't have a Martin Mayhew GM's tree. You don't have a Rod Marinelli coaching tree because they all sucked. You might get a Dan Campbell coaching tree.
In year two.
Maybe. Yeah, right. And I'm talking about on down the road. If you continue to be good, you're going to lose more coaches.
Mark Walston says Ben is committed to 3 years with the Lions, which doesn't mean anything. There's language in the contracts that make it such.
Right.
Ben Johnson's no guarantee to be a good head coach. He is a great coordinator. Dan is a leader of men. Is Ben a leader of men? Well, he will take a compensated role to find out, to the tune of probably $30-ish million guaranteed.
Yeah, and let me say something. No one is guaranteed to be a good head coach. What you do, you interview them. If you like them, you hire them and take a chance on them. You take a chance with everybody. Bill Cowher, when he was hired, they took a chance. They took a chance on every coach in the league because you don't know how they're going to respond as the CEO. Some guys are not good in the head chair. Marty Mornhinweg, great offensive coordinator. Lions took a chance on him. He sucked as a head coach. Rod Marinelli, great as a position coach. Put him in a head chair, no good. So you take a chance. But Ben Johnson is a guy that can call an offense. He's run things. He's done it efficiently. So I can understand where you interview him and say, okay, this is my guy. I like it. I'm going to take a chance on him.
And this is another example of why it's not same old Lions, because you used to get poached assistant coaches off your ranks. Now you're talking about getting coaches, right? Guys used to leave the organization if they wanted to further, or they came here to die as a coach. That's not the case anymore, so that's changed too. Got to get used to it as a Lions fan, because it's not going to stop, I don't believe. So with all the other, you look around the league, San Francisco runs into this problem all the time. And all the good teams that have their coaches poached, it's about what structure as an organization is in place by your head coach, right? So I believe what Terry said, it won't be as hard of a transition as maybe we expect. I just think we're bummed out because we'd like to see this run back one more time, right, with what we saw this year with the same crew.
WoodwardSports.com chat thread, and I agree with you 100% on that, D-Mac. WoodwardSports.com chat thread, NFL Draft Junkie says, if the Campbell coaching tree is allowed to ripen a little more, the OC and DC will command more cheddar in a couple of years. The jobs will be there, Ben and Aaron. And see, like, we have to get past that mentality and understand that. A, there's no guarantee that you'll be as hot as you are next year. And B, you don't know how many these jobs are. Like, guys, again, I go back to it. When I get the chance to go work in the NBA, what's always the thing that sobers me about it? The fact that it's 10 times easier to make the NBA as a player than it is as a broadcaster, my line of work. Like, that's the thing that I always take away from it. With this, you're talking about 5 jobs coming open every year, 6 jobs coming open.
The analogy is a lot the same, because especially in the broadcasting, right? Jobs don't open up every year and stuff, like they barely do. So maybe that's the one where you got to wait till guys, get to the end of their careers. And
that's what we talk about. Like there's only 32 of these jobs in the world. Well, no, there's not. Belichick ain't going anywhere.
He'll die at some point.
Well, at some point, yes. I'm talking about like next year. Dan Campbell ain't going anywhere. Go through the list of the coaches that aren't going anywhere. You're getting 6 cracks at this year over year. That's it, man.
And
if
there's
you got a chance to go, you're going.
Children, there's an old saying, strike when the irons are hot. Because he could be cold next year and nobody wants to talk to him.
Right. Because what happens, God forbid, Jared Goff gets hurt in training camp? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you're rolling out there with Seneca Wallace or whoever, whatever backup quarterback. All of a sudden,
Seneca Wallace. Nice ball.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice ball.
All of a sudden, you ain't so hot anymore, T. You know what I'm saying?
Lion fans just don't want to let this guy go, and I understand
I don't either.
But from my standpoint, I want to see people elevate themselves as high as they can go.
Right.
This guy, this was a magical season, even though they finished 9-8. But as you can tell from the playoffs, anything can happen in an NFL game. Let's say they're 6-11 next year. Nobody's going to want him. He won't get a head coaching interview. Right now, he's one of the hot names, and in this league, when your name is hot, you better strike. You better try to get something then, because you don't know. There's no guarantees. Next year is not guaranteed.
No, it's not. And here's the other thing that it boils down to for me. Peaceful Tim says, do Lions fans trust Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes to hire another competent OC? I think you got to give them that leeway, right?
You do, but I want the talent. Bring in great players. Bring in, like you've been doing the last 2 years. It's going to work out. It's not like they're going to keep bringing in talent, and all of a sudden you're looking up and they're going 3-14 or something ridiculous like that. No, when you build the talent, even if you have a few knuckleheads at coach, you're still going to win. So I think people should be more concerned about the drafts and the free agency down the road than Ben Johnson.
Oh, and I would agree with this. Alpha Dog 23. I don't know that I've seen you here before, Alpha Dog. Appreciate you, though, tapping in to the show. If Ben Johnson leaves, power to him. I always like Ben Johnson, and I think the Panthers give him the opportunity. He'd be stupid to pass on it, and that's where I'm it's $30 million, dude, and you're the coach of an NFL team.
And you got to understand the security blanket, not only the compensation, but if he doesn't work out, he can always go back to be somebody's OC.
Hey, Lions fans. Would you take Ben Johnson back as OC if it didn't work out in the league?
That's right.
I think that you would. I think that everybody would.